Well, and back to me getting tested for my LD so I could get into college. The first round of testing was done outside the University of Georgia. As the year was closing to an end, I was tested at the University of Georgia to determine whether or not I would receive services through the Regents Learning Disability Center. And so as I graduated Stratford Academy, I was destined to go to me, what is one of the most prestigious schools in the region, definitely one of the most prestigious schools in Georgia, University of Georgia. Now here I am, a Georgia College and State University, future graduate, I hope. But to me, the University System of Georgia is the University of Georgia, and that's what makes it such a wonderful and prestigious school. It doesn't matter where you go, we're all a part of the same university system. But I was at Athens, and at Athens, I was receiving services eventually through the Learning Disability Center, the Regents Learning Disability Center there. However, there was about a month lag before I was allowed to receive services on the campus while they waited for all the paperwork to get settled. And while that month lag was going on, I was told I would have to take a class on how to read faster so that I could survive the university system's rigor. And I took the class, and it was on a computer, and you do what the computer said, and it was supposed to make you read faster. I did what the computer said, and I read slower. The individuals at that facility took me aside and told me to withdraw from the University of Georgia. I would never graduate. I would never be successful as a teacher. But this time, I didn't go home crying. I stayed at the University of Georgia, continued to go to that class, then got accepted into the Regents Learning Disability Center. And while college life wasn't easy, as an LD student, with the proper accommodations, I excelled. I had never done so well in an academic setting as I did at the University of Georgia. I had never made above a C in a math class. And here I was, college level math, and I made a B. To me, that was a miracle. But everything wasn't over. Halfway through college, you got to pass the Regents exam. Took it the first time with accommodations, couldn't pass it. Took it the second time, accommodations, couldn't pass it. Was pulled in to get the results from my test and was told I had the best essay they had to grade that year. However, I had too many errors and couldn't pass. Well, the Regents Learning Disability Center came to my aid, argued on my behalf, and I was the first student in the Regents system of Georgia to receive the following accommodation on the Regents writing exam. I dictated my written essay into a tape recorder, and then another individual transcribed my dictation into the essay that the Regents read, thus removing all of the editing problems that I couldn't pick up on. Quite honestly, though, that shows how difficult writing was for me. Went on to graduate from the University System of Georgia and immediately re-enrolled for my master's degree, this time in special education. I was going to take what I had learned from myself and apply it to my role as a teacher. Well, that was a wonderful experience. I learned more about how my brain works than I ever thought I could have known. And as that experience came to a close, I did the most difficult thing I have ever done in terms of my learning disability. I wrote a 200-page paper. Can't pass the Regents exam. 200-page paper. To me, I can't believe that. But I did it. And then when I sat in for my evaluation of my college thesis, my master's thesis, I was told I did the best defense they had had. Doctoral level defense. I can't believe that somebody told me I would not be successful at college, that I would not be successful as a teacher, because now I've been teaching Baldwin County 3 years, now back in the regular ed, teaching in Jasper County for an additional 4. I'm working on my 4th year. And while it wasn't easy when I started, it's not easy for any teacher. but I think I'm a pretty successful teacher now. And here I am, back in college yet again, on this journey as a lifelong learner. Somewhere in there, there's one last event I want to share with you. You have to take this thing called the praxis to be a teacher. I found out that I was going to have to write on the praxis. I'd never gotten an accommodation on a standardized test for writing before. I was told, here I am, college graduate, told that I'd have to be retested as if I was elementary, middle school, high school student every 4 years. And since my test was more than 4 years old, it was invalid. And so once again, here I am, an adult, going through the same testing procedures I've been doing my entire life. But this time, I know how the tests are given. I've been taught how to give those tests. And while the fight with the praxis over this issue illustrates, I'm sure, a whole bunch of things that we could talk about, there was one test I took to prove to them I indeed had a learning disability that I think said everything. It was a very simple test. They show you some zeros or circles and triangles, and they're in a pattern. And from the pattern, you are supposed to be able to deduce a number between 1 and 4. And they keep score on how long it takes for you to figure out the pattern, and then they change the pattern and do it again. I was off the chart. I'd never seen somebody giving me a psychological test with a grin that big on their face. They were excited about the results as they were getting them from me. And then, to me, the most amazing thing happened. They changed it from zeros and triangles to A's and B's. Same task, but now it's letters. And I couldn't do it. I literally sat there staring at the A's and B's, trying to figure out how to read the word instead of figuring out how to solve the problem the way I had to solve all these other problems. And that's when it clicked in my head that there really is something different about the way my brain works. And I hope that from hearing me talk to you about these things, that you'll realize that you have students, whether you know it or not, that aren't a Christian, and they have a learning disability, or meet any of these other hidden differences. Consider that as you run your class. Thank you for listening to my story.